There's been some updates on the SLATE truck.
I haven't
Big,
heard
beautiful
this.
bill that passed recently took
Yeah,
away
yeah.
the EV tax credit.
So like their entire business model.
Yeah. If you go to their website, it no longer says starting at less than $20,000, which everyone had their doubts that would ever happen anyway, even with the EV tax credit.
Yeah.
It now says expected price mid-20s, what I still think is highly optimistic. If you were shopping for a $150,000 Escalade EV, $7,500, that pays for the rear seat entertainment.
It's 2 months payment.
A sub $30,000 car, $7,500 is a massive swing.
What, one car that starts under 20 now?
Is it the Kia Soul?
Versa.
An EV truck could have been had for close to Versa money, even if there was a faint possibility of that happening before. There's no chance it's happening now with that EV tax credit going away. So first, this is not a political podcast. With the passing of that bill, it removes the EV tax credit, has disproportionately really affected SLATE here, who's going for like really cheap, cost-effective pricing.
Yeah.
That was really relying on that tax credit.
It's a 30% price jump.
It does allow new American cars to have their interest deducted.
So we're incentivizing people to finance cars?
Finance a depreciating asset. Yes.
Wow.
Make it make sense.
Why?
Well, and that's not a political statement. That's just a financial literacy statement. That's not a good idea.
They're helping you finance a depreciating Why?
They're trying to incentivize people to buy American cars.
People are going to buy the best product. Make the best product, and you'll sell it.
Yeah, that's true.
What?
Don't spend money you don't have.
Yeah.
I couldn't help but revisit the Maverick. When we talked about this last time, I ended up accidentally making a really strong case for the Maverick.
Yeah.
Which I didn't set out to do, but just when you put the numbers side by side, especially now, we're assuming it was going to come out at less than 20, which is a huge assumption. So with tax credit, 27 is incredibly conservative there. It's going to be more than that. You look at these side by side, the Maverick in every objective way is better. You could say the SLATE has a 6-inch longer bed and slightly more power, but somehow it's slower and has a lower payload and lower tow rating. A third of the range comes with 2 doors, unless you make it an SUV. Well, actually, it still will always only have 2 doors, but it could have like more seats, but then you lose your bed. Has no stereo, no power windows. I drive a car that's 50 years old, and I have way more fun driving that than like a new vehicle with features up to your eyeballs. I don't care about all the features. So I'm all for reducing the cost of a vehicle by getting rid of all that stuff. The problem is you get rid of all that stuff and it's still the same price as a Maverick that has all of that stuff.
It's just because of the battery cost.
It's the batteries. I think the SLATE looks great. I'm totally on board with the bare bones approach. I personally put a $50 deposit down because I think that's a great idea and I want to kind of support things moving in that general direction. But the Ford Maverick is better. For mid to high 20s, the SLATE is just not compelling. It's not. You start putting on options that make it approach the Ford Maverick in options, and now you're talking about like a $40,000, $50,000 vehicle. What makes it more expensive, you're exactly right, Jordan, it's the electric drivetrain that makes it more expensive. It's this Venn diagram of people who really need a truck, but are really hard and fast on the fact that it's an EV and are not compromising on that piece. And there's just not a lot of room in the intersection of those two circles. Even if you're environmentally conscious, the Ford Maverick gets excellent mileage.
What would be really interesting would be to see someone take that same approach of absolutely cost cut everything with a gas engine in it.
When SLATE first started in 2022, the automotive landscape was very different. It did seem at the time like EV was the future, and if you could get there quicker, you'd have an advantage. Now things have changed a little bit. SLATE should offer hybrid ICE or an E-Rev. Or, this is down the road, but that little 2-stroke engine you showcased. How cool would that be?
The Rev Force, it generates more energy per volume of fuel than a Prius and weighs 70 kilograms. It doesn't weigh hardly anything, but you put that in the front of a SLATE, generate buckets and buckets of electricity with a little 2-cylinder.
I don't know everything about the architecture that underpins it, but at least the general shape lends itself to a more traditional powertrain anyway.
So I looked at RevForce's website. Their first product is a generator that is less than 1 cubic meter. It generates 100 kilowatts compared to the same size generator making 13 kilowatts.
You just got to find room for that generator up front.
Everything else can stay the same. And you can drop the battery size from 57 kilowatt hours to 20 and also increase your range and decrease the cost. The whole thing would be way better as an EREV.
And for those that really want to stick to it being an EV, you can still plug it in and charge it like an EV. But in the event that you need to drive it more than 60 miles, you can put gas in it. Americans aren't gravitating toward small trucks like the K trucks and everything because the trucks are small. They're gravitating towards small trucks because they're cheap and purposeful. Now, as a consequence, they are small, but we don't want the small trucks because they're small, or I should say most of us. I can't think of a place where a Ford Maverick, you're just going to be thinking, oh man, this Ford Maverick is just too big. Like, our roads are made for massive American vehicles. Maybe in the most congested of places,
San Francisco, New York.
Not going to be a realistic problem for most people. We just want cheap, purposeful trucks. And if they're small, so be it, but not just because they're small. That's not why we want them.
Ford needs to come out with a stripped down Maverick and just call it the Ford Rick.
We saved 18 cents by not having to buy the NAV letters to put on the back of the truck.
Well, I think you're right. People don't want small trucks because they're small. They want them because they're cheap.
We don't mind small trucks.
They've got to be useful. They've got to be cheap.
Exactly. Do that. I'll buy one.